All right, everyone. It is Wednesday, and that means it's Brap time. So welcome, everyone, back to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. We have a great show in store for everyone tonight. It's just going to be a great show. It's going to be a fun show. We got a lot of great topics to talk about. We got some major Xbox E3 2021 details, and we have another big PlayStation exclusive coming to PC, which means that PC's officially the best place to play video games. And if you don't own a PC, go buy one because all your exclusives belong to us at this point. So on that note, I do want to make a quick introduction to the panel here. We have a first-time guest, somebody who I've had the opportunity to podcast with before. We have middle-aged gaming guy, or Mag, as we refer to him as, on Brap. Mag, welcome to Brap. It's great to have you on, man.
Well, man, I'm in uncharted territories right now. I'm excited. I'm here. First time on Brap, guys. Panel, obviously, you guys are all awesome. And chat, look forward to talking to you guys all and look forward to the show. We got some great topics. Let's get right into this show.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we have another returning guest. Some people may refer to him as an industry insider. I refer to him as Obum. We've got one bad mother. What's up, OBM?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. Thanks for the invite again. Fortunately, I was able to finish Mass Effect 2 for the first time just before getting on here, so perfect timing. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show today. Look forward to talking about E3.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's we've got some E3 news. We're going to talk about some official stuff. So yeah, man, definitely look forward to chatting it up with you as well, Obum. And then we have by the way, big shout out to our good friend Mr. Eric Jackson. Couldn't make it tonight. We miss you tonight. We know you got to do Common Core math. Get it? So yeah. But we also have the one, the only Gaming Forte, or Fairway Forte as I refer to him as. Forte, what's up, man?
No one needs a console when your games are coming to PC for better T-flops.
Wow.
What's going on? What's going on, guys?
GameStop better stay in business for a while. I don't think that outside gig is going to take off.
It don't need to. It don't need to. But of course, it don't need to. But of course, shout out to the homies. But yeah, it don't need to. That's just me jerking around, you know. It's great just to hear that, you know, all platforms are going to be great this holiday, like we always say they're going to be, and no matter where you play your games at, you're going to enjoy them no matter what. So yeah, man, a lot of good stuff happened like literally the last 24 hours between Sony and Xbox, and now good news for PC. When's Nintendo gonna give us some good news? That's the only thing we missing. Brap, when is Nintendo gonna grace us with some good news like Breath of the Wild 2 or maybe Metroid or something like that? When they gonna tell us this stuff, Brap?
Never, because
you're the only one missing. Yeah,
the Nintendo is like on a milk carton right now, but they don't care because they're selling.
Well, they're on a milk carton making $100,000 a month.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're
no matter what.
No, and they're out there selling. You know, they're selling Nintendo Switches like hotcakes right now. Like it's just they don't even say anything. They just do it.
Did you know that the blue Switch is? Did y'all know
those milk cartons? I was going to say those milk cartons with Nintendo on them are being sold for $80 right now.
Oh,
right.
But did y'all know that the blue Nintendo Switch Lite is a special run? They're not gonna be selling those throughout the whole year. So they know how to even create scarcity in their hardware like they do their games.
Well, look at that, man. Look at that.
They talk about Nintendo out here making moves.
Nintendo's like the oil industry, jacking up those gas prices. Then we also got B Money 101. B, what's going on, man? B, are you there? I think he's there.
B Money is
B Money.
Yo, I'm here. What's going on,
there he is. What's up, B?
Hey, not much, man. What's going on?
We missed you, B.
Yeah,
man. It's a lot of great gaming news going on right now, man. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I got to be full disclosure. I've been kind of out of pocket the last couple of days. So like I said,
Ain't nothing new.
Look,
couple of days, that ain't nothing new.
Look, sir, I've been out of pocket.
You've been a little extra the last couple of days.
Yes, I've been extra. Hey, you could ask Lord Obum. I usually talk to Obum on a daily basis because he's like, we talk a lot of video games and stuff, and I've been out of pocket, man. Like I don't think I talked to Obum in like 3 days.
Oh man, that's probably what it is. Your conscience has been getting out of the way, and that's your conscience over there.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Forte, some of the live chats. Some of the live chats is this man cutting his grass for too long. That's a Forte reference, by the way.
Hey man, your boy has officially hired somebody to do that for him.
Really?
That's too much work, man.
Man,
they wanted. Okay, so
it is a lot of work.
It was like a happy meet. It was like a happy meet. It was taking me almost 3.5 hours to cut my front and back. Because you can't just cut it and then you gotta edge it, and we gotta line ours up almost like every 3 weeks. We gotta do the edging on it, and it's ridiculous.
It's a lot of work.
You're talking about 2 to 3 hours of my off day dedicated to that, and you just be exhausted. So,
what are you doing it with scissors?
No.
Mac, he's out there with scissors.
Listen,
that's what I'm picturing
with a fine tooth comb.
Listen, I'm gonna need you to come out here and look at this. It's like cutting the grass by itself. Listen, cutting the grass by itself. This is a goddamn meme at this point. That's what this is. But getting out there and cutting that grass, but just cut. If I didn't do anything else but just straight cut the front and the back and the side, that would probably take me about an hour and 45 minutes. But then when you got to break out the edger, then you got to break out the cutters for the bushes and stuff, and then you got to get the weed whacker out to go up. My wife makes me go up and down the driveway. We have a giant driveway. We have like a driveway that looks like it could be a part of Target's parking lot. That's how big our driveway is. Nice. So we got grass growing up in between the cracks. My wife is literally like, "Oh, you got to get that. You got to get that weed whacker out, and you got to get all that stuff there." See, no, that's my wife. My wife is all about that stuff. So I told her, I was like, well, listen, how much is it going to cost so somebody come out and do this for us? And they were talking about $200 a month. I was like, heck no, I will starve and suffer before I pay somebody $200 to cut all my grass. And then they said, we'll do it every 2 weeks. And they said $100 for every for a month if we do it. $49 every 2 weeks. And I was like, I can stomach that. So I'll cut it 2 weeks. They'll cut it the off week. And I'm good with that. As long as I ain't killing myself every week, because my grass grows too much and I got to cut it every week if I don't do it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I have a lawn as well.
I want OBM to come over here and see it for I need somebody other than myself to prove all this. So one day OBM, I'm gonna invite you over here for barbecue or something so you can see it yourself.
There you go.
I'm getting my second COVID shot tomorrow, so I'll be in.
Well, it's not like Michigan ain't on the honor system, and
right?
Hey, I'm vaccinated. I ain't got to wear a mask.
So
I'll bring my card.
No, that's against the law. I don't want you to show it to me.
Wow. Well, look. I want to. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat right now. First and foremost, say thank you everyone for coming and hanging out with us tonight. And please, if you haven't done so, hit that like button. And retweet the link if you're on the Twitters. So I dropped the link in the live chat. But we are not the Basement Radio mowing podcast.
Not
even
today,
though,
at least.
Yeah. Even though Forte, we do like talking about Forte's lawn because it's very well manicured per se.
Manicured.
Yeah.
You got to put some lotion on those blades of grass out there, man.
There you go, man. You got to lotion.
Put a top coat on them.
There you go, man. But look, I want to get to some gaming topics here, and this wasn't an official topic per se, but one that I wanted to talk about and bring up because I saw the THQ Nordic tweets about the reviews of Biomutant, and I've seen this narrative, if you will, come about game reviews. There's some folks out there that are like, game reviews are trash, and they're not really honest. They're all opinion based. And then you have the other school of thought that's okay. There's value in game reviews, and the value is the fact that often you'll see difference of an opinion in reviews from different reviewers. and they can help people potentially make a informed purchase. But I want to go to you with this question, Mag. Where are you at with gaming reviews, man? Do you think that they're not necessarily valuable to you per se, or maybe valuable to the community?
Well, first of all, I saw what you were the Biomutant tweets. I saw one of them. It was actually a really good one. It was pretty funny, and at least it was fairly honest the way I saw it. Right? What he was one of them said listen, the reviews are out and they're all over the place. What company would ever say that? Nobody, right?
I loved it though.
At least they sound like normal, down to earth people, and they were just like, look. They're all over the place. So there's only one thing left to do. You either play the game or you don't play the game, but please experience it if you're interested, and then make up your own mind, right? And that really struck me, right? Because when I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's really intelligent. That's something that I do. What I do when it comes to reviews, okay, I use them as sort of like a little bit of like a litmus test, almost like a, not really a standard that I base everything on, but what I do is I use it for reference. Okay, because if a game's getting 3 out of 10s across the board, you could say meta who, meta this, meta that. Oh, I don't listen to this. But if it's rating at like 30%, okay, or 3 out of 10s, the game is garbage. Okay, I mean, the odds of it being anything good are pretty slim, right? So you look at that. But yeah, there are times where you got to be like, you know what, a 7, you're on the fence there, right? So now you're like, okay, you look at the majority. But here's the thing. I'm going to move away from the reviews for 1 second and talk about YouTube. And the reason why I'm going to talk about YouTube is this. I've noticed a paradigm shift in the gaming community where a lot of these big review sites, yeah, okay, people go to them, people bust chops and everything else, and they, review bomb this and do that, whatever. But I do notice that there's a big paradigm shift of the gaming community moving to YouTubers because YouTubers are not being paid by these companies with free t-shirts and whatever else and free consoles and here's here's a God of War wrap for your Honda Civic or whatever, right? So they are just guys and girls just like us. You know what I'm saying? They're regular down to earth people. They're people that actually game. They are gamers. And I'm finding that people are asking the opinions of the YouTubers or are listening to the YouTubers reviews more so than your IGNs, your GameSpots, your VG24s, whatever, right? And all these big sites. So I think that that's a really interesting sort of shift. And I know that there's a lot of animosity from those larger groups because I heard back in 2019 at E3, a lot of those big companies were getting upset that a lot of people were coming in. They're like, who are these guys? And this and that. They're like, oh, they're YouTubers and this and that. They're not liking that because now they realize that people are starting to listen to the YouTubers more than your IGNs or whatever. Right. So it's interesting. So now what I do now, obviously, because I do this, I mean, I do podcasting, I talk to YouTubers. I'm friends with basically everybody. And the thing is, I listen to them because I trust them to give me an honest answer because they're paying for those games out of pocket, okay, for the most part, right? And so they're buying that game. So if like, for, let's say I'm talking to Mr. Boomstick XL, if I'm talking to Mooch, okay, if I'm talking to Noof Nukem or whoever, okay, and I'm talking to these guys, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, I bought it, I love it. I trust them. Right? So I think that that's where things are going now. Things are going like people are going peer to peer as opposed to looking at these giant corporate types who are getting A, the consoles for free, B, the games for free, and C, they're getting mugs, shirts, hats, whatever, free dinners, dinner for 4 for you and your family to go to sushi. But here, review my game, right? So I don't trust those people entirely because they have an agenda. Okay, because you don't want to, I mean, they'll do it somewhat, but the thing is they're not being as honest as you would like them to be. So when I look at reviews, I'm looking at my own peers, my own podcasters, my own YouTubers, and of course, people in the community. And actually, that's an interesting thing. I actually have a lot of people reaching out to me, and when a new game comes out, I get all these DMs all the time, and they're like, yo, Mag, what do you think about this game? And I'm like, wow, people are asking my opinion, and that's real humbling on top of it. But I mean, on top of being humbling, I think it's really interesting that that's where it's going, right? Because they trust people, like I said, because we're just regular people like everybody else, and so they would listen to people like us. So that's what I think about the review situation. Now, as for Biomutant, I haven't touched it yet, but I think that to me, this is going to be like a No Man's Sky situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hold off for now. Okay, I'm just going to give it a little bit of time, get them to, sort out some of their situations because I hear there's some there's a couple things going on. They're not really bugs per se, but they got some like, quality of life issues that need to be worked out. Some, little things like that. Let them work on the game a little bit, a few patches, few this, few that, maybe add a little DLC, and then maybe I'll come and revisit it later on. But right now, my hands are full, man. I mean, we got a lot of stuff coming up on the horizon. I haven't even touched AC Valhalla yet. We've got Ratchet and Clank coming up in June, right? Who the hell knows what Xbox is going to be dropping in June, July, whatever, around the E3. So, we're busy. So I can hold off on Biomutant for now. But anyways, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's I appreciate the your thoughts on the subject here. I want to grab some super chats before I go to the rest of the panel here, Mag. We have Doomsayer Network with a $2 super chat says, "What's up, everyone? Great to see Mag on tonight." And then we also have a $5 super chat from Andy Hart. Says, "Would love to see companies go back to demo release. Best review, play the demo and decide." And then we have a $5 super chat from our good friend JD Gamer. Says, let's start this off right. Hashtag double standards. PS fans, be it regular fans or fanboys with the Kotaku column, are downvoting anything associated with Xbox. So thank you for that, JD Gamer. I want to open this up to the rest of the panel. What is everyone's thoughts here? OBM, as you are a guest this evening, and you do, OBM, for those who don't know, have just started writing for Xbox Era. So what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, and to be totally candid, I've only done one review. I did a small one for the Battletoads, and I find out that those take a lot of work to do. Even for a small game, it took a lot of time, and so I'm doing some other contributions there. So not so much on the review side. I guess when it comes to reviews, I have a few different thoughts, and I actually had this debate with somebody else who's kind of a regular over there about you guys shouldn't even do scores, that like Metacritic's bad, all this other stuff, and I do respect everybody having their own opinions on this. I do find that the people that dislike the review system or the Metacritic the most are the ones who basically disagree with the Metascores the most. And personally, I mean, I still find value in that. I do find myself also getting annoyed when people are generally, they think the reviews are good or bad depending on whether the scores come in the way they want them to before they've even played the game. A lot of times, like chastising reviewers because something comes in too low, or it could be the other way around because for System Wars, whatever. Again, the thing to remember is like things like gaming or movies, things like that. I mean, there are, and yeah, there's some aspects that over time, you can identify whether something's quality, whether it's buggy, whether it's got quality of life considerations, things like that. But there's a lot of aspects that are just supposed to be gray. I guess my biggest, the biggest challenge I think with some of the reviews is that a lot of the reviewers do seem to come from the same school of thought in terms of what games they like and don't. I notice they generally don't hit it on the multiplayer side. If you notice, some of the most played multiplayer games are pretty low scores, or they're below 8s in general. And so like there's certain types of games that they do gravitate towards in general. So it seems like in terms of who gets hired at those, at a lot of the sites or who does the reviews, generally they start to get into some groupthink, I think, in terms of genres or what they're looking for. So that is one of the challenges. Overall, I do like to see a diversity in that. And I do look at them because I like to, if somebody's giving it a high score, I like to see what they really liked about it. And somebody's giving it a low, I want to see what they didn't. And I do find that I can, within that, that does help gauge my decisions. Fortunately, 80% of the stuff I play today is like on Game Pass, so I don't have to really worry as much about that. And I do, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes I'll play stuff and I'll find that I really like it, and then I find out, it doesn't score that great. It might be like 7s or something like that. So I don't know. I still find use in them. I do think there is definitely some flaws system, especially Metacritic, when you start looking at how they weight things, like when they weighted Jeff Grubb's 3 out of 5 as a 60, and it's like that's not what he really gave it, like stuff like that. So Metacritic definitely has some weighting errors in terms of how they apply stuff, because if you're grading something at a 5.5 point scale. Generally, a 3 is probably closer to C than it is a D, but that's just kind of how they use the percentages. So you can't take that. You can't use it as an exact science. It can just be a little bit of a gauge, but then you also have to realize, certain genres and certain things you like over time, you get a clue what stuff, what stuff kind of usually lines up and what doesn't, individually. But generally, I do have an issue with people automatically piling on, or I'm sure there is bias here and there for some people, but I wouldn't paint everybody with a broad brush. There is people that, I wouldn't say it's going to be like there's like this conscious bias. I think sometimes people do feel pressure from their peers more than anything. Right? It's like, if somebody played, I'll just give an example. Like if you were in the media and you played Last of Us 2 and you didn't enjoy it because of the story or something else, but that if you gave it a 7 out of 10, you're going to get chastised by your peers because most of them think it's a work of art. I think there is that kind of pressure, and I think especially with bigger games, there is a little bit of groupthink that happens with some of that stuff.
Yeah, no, those are great points, OBM, and I kind of want to rope B Money into this because for those who don't know, B. I always refer to B as like one of the OGs, right? With podcasting, like B, you were part of the Inner Circle podcast. Like, geez, I think this goes back like 6 years when you guys started, or was it 7 years ago?
It's about 7 years now.
Yeah, and so you guys had a lot of access to like media types, the industry. I mean, for those who don't know, like you guys had like Phil Spencer on. God, I can't. You guys had a lot of people on, like a lot of big industry people. Be like, from your perspective, do you think like Mag brought up an interesting point about media sites, reviewers getting T-shirts or mugs or maybe certain gifts or perks, and maybe that causes, maybe there's some question about integrity maybe with that, but what are your thoughts on this, man? Like, do you think that's the case where, in talking to people who were at these, big, larger media sites, where maybe some of that, I guess, some of the perks of the job, if you will, maybe influence how they looked at or reviewed games?
I mean, I think it could play a part somewhat, but I think that also affects YouTubers as well. I mean, bigger YouTubers get those same type of benefits. They're kind of put on that same type of pedestal as being one of the bigger media companies. So, I mean, I guess you could say that about, some YouTubers as well. But just in regards to reviews, I think, a little bit of what OBM said, when it's a bigger game and it's, and you have a different opinion of everyone else, I think a lot of groupthink kind of comes into play with that, where it's like, oh, well, I'm not really feeling this game, but everybody else is giving it a 9, so I'll give it close to a score like that. But when you have games like this, Biomutant, and games that aren't, highly noted or whatever, then I think you see, a variance of opinion. And I think that's one of the things that they highlighted, where, one part of one quote was, saying how, you could fall in love with the world and, the story was boring. And then the other quote is saying like, oh, the story is amazing, but, the world is bland or whatever. So it's like polar opposite. Only take opinions of others with a grain of salt. You kind of got to get in there and play the game for yourself. When it's a game like this, I think, the reviews are going to be all over the place, specifically like they said. So, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to really hate it. And, because it's not, a game from a big publisher, there's not much influence on it. So, they're just going to be all over the place. So it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, B. Forte, do you have any thoughts on this subject in terms of reviews, man? And I don't know if you've done any reviews for your channel, Forte. I don't think you have, but what are your thoughts on this, man?
Nope, don't need that headache. Don't need that headache because
like, no.
Because at a certain point, people forget that reviews are just opinion pieces, and the moment the moment you start getting attacked for your own opinion, like it's fact, is the one thing that I never always agreed when it came to the social aspect of people engaging with reviews and stuff. I stopped. I used to be a heavily person that used to rely on reviews and stuff on games and stuff that I would purchase and stuff. And then the more and more I just became the type of person that's like, there's games out here that I truly enjoy that they said were trash. Like, we're talking about 5s and 6s. Now, were they great games? No. Like, I remember a game on 360 called Ninja Blade that I played that they gave like a 5 to, and I was like, yo, this is actually pretty fun. It's like some kooky, crazy ninja, like broken Ninja Gaiden type stuff, but it was actually
nobody
fun.
knows that game was made by From Software.
No one knows. No one knows.
You know what?
I
actually enjoyed that game too. I didn't think it was.
Enjoyed that game, bro.
I did too.
So much.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was the first game that truly broke me away from reviews and stuff, because I looked at it, I was like, hey, okay, well, I just happened. This is, in the era when GameFly just came out, and I was just looking for games. I had the 2 games out, and I was like, well, I was achievement hunting back then too. So I was like, let me just try this game. It's available. I got it and play. I was like, this game ain't nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. And that's when I just started saying, I'm just going to try games. If I'm interested, I'm just going to do it. But when it comes to like Biomutant in general, I actually have it. It's actually paid for itself already, because shout out to that $2 deal that I got on PC. So it's not really hurting me at all.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I actually played it yesterday for about 2-3 hours and enjoyed the time I put into it. Is it great? No, but is the combat real floaty and all? It feels like you're just swinging at air. Yeah, but I really like the narration in the game. I really like the aesthetic, and I like the character creator. I like the environments. They look really, really lush and like brought out to life. It looks like it's a used-in world. But like I said, is it like a great game that you would go out and spend $70 or $60 on? No. But if you could catch it on a discount like we did, or even half off of what it's priced at right now, is it a nice thing that you could just pop into your system and say, yo, I'm bored. Ain't nothing else to play. Let me try this game out. Yeah. It's good for that. And I think at a certain point, that's what kind of people just kind of got to realize to themselves. Just because you might look at a review and a review say something's terrible, if it actually speaks to you in some type of way, or you actually jive with the aesthetic of the game in some way, then yeah, the review might, be plausible, or it may be something that you aren't with, but you should just use it as a tool. It should just be a tool to guide you to where your decision goes to. It should not be your decision. And I think that's the problem that people have with reviews nowadays.
Yeah, the interesting thing,
I think a lot of people just get caught up in it, whatever the score is.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true. That's a good point.
If you go to Metacritic or OpenCritic, whatever big company you decide to follow. Yeah, if the game is rated a 9 or 10, 9.5 or whatever, like, it's a must play. So regardless if you're even interested in that genre, you kind of feel compelled to, like, oh, I got to play this game because everybody's gonna be playing it. It's like one of the best rated games of the year. And then when you see a game that's rated in the 60s, it's like, nope, I'm not touching that. I don't care if I was interested in it before.
That's got a lot to do with price too. Especially if you're a savvy consumer. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys have heard me yell and scream about it a couple times that like PlayStation 5 games in Canada are $105.
Yeah,
or at least in Ontario, right? So when it comes to that, now I'm not worried about Sony's first party, because Sony's first party is all they always generally produce incredible games, right? So I don't mind that. But if one of them hits like a 60, you know what I'm saying, like 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. That's where I'm going to hesitate, and that's where I'm going to be like, whoa, I'm not willing to just throw down $105, okay, on this game if it's a maybe. You know what I'm saying? So there is price, you know what I'm saying? So price is actually something that people have to consider as well. So when you look at these things, and I'm like, saying Biomutant, like Forte is saying, okay, Biomutant, it's good. It's kind of, it's all right. Is it worth $60? No. I immediately shut my brain off after that. And I said, not buying it. And I don't mean that I'm not going to buy it in the future. Maybe just I'll pick it up for $20 or something. But immediately that turned my wallet. My wallet just went, and just went right back into my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So that you got to look at that.
Yeah, and you're not really different. I mean, what you said there is really what the masses do. I mean, if you look at what the sales of games are, generally the consumers do go to things that they're going to spend their money on things that it's a low risk to them, because the average consumer doesn't buy 3-4 games a month and just, oh, okay, well these two didn't really hit, no big deal. They're going to be a little bit more cautious with their money, and there is I think that's one of the challenges these days too, and it's probably like a different topic, but when it comes to, unfortunately, for like these new IPs, especially single player games, things that don't really get the legs that and the future opportunity that maybe a multiplayer game would get, is that there is so many value options out there. Like somebody can just go back and go play Warzone, right, or Fortnite or whatever that heck they're playing multiplayer, or they go back to the Call of Duty. Or even, again, like speaking of Sony games, you mentioned that people are generally those games do pretty well because there's a certain, expectation that's usually met, within a certain range, and people are going to limit their risk that way. So I think it does make it difficult for everybody else. And that's why, why reviews do matter in some situations, but, maybe over time as subscriptions get bigger, that stuff, will matter less and less. But yeah, generally, if you're kind of like, well, you hear some good, some bad, and it's like $60-$70, and you're like, well, maybe I'll wait for the next thing. It's not like we don't have. It's not like in the old days, like there was a time where, if you had only an N64, you could go months without a game, or like these days, it's like every week there's just a drop of games. There's a lot of different things you can play, and everybody's got backlogs, and then the old games get better, and then there's like ongoing stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Like there's got to be other ways for these games to reach consumers. So I do think reviews still matter for now, especially for those that don't get that free exposure in a subscription, and it does matter for them to hit well. Otherwise, they kind of don't have much of a chance. I can't remember the last time a new IP from a developer that doesn't have huge cachet like a Sony or Ubisoft or somebody like that has come out at full price, $60-$70, and and did well, scoring under 8. They do rely on that stuff, so that stuff still does factor in for some types of games.
Yeah, that's a great point, OBM. And I'll say this to kind of close out this topic real quick. I think for me, I've kind of used reviews kind of as a guide, more or less. And one thing I'll say about Metacritic, you can always count on, I think it's US Gamer to review bomb a game and give it like a 50.
Right.
Is that who it is? US Gamer?
They're there to balance out everybody else.
Yeah,
there's also Eurogamer does it a lot too.
Yeah, so it's like
Eurogamer, they bomb the everything.
Yeah, it's like like 50s, and so. But I'll say this, like it's what really kind of caught my attention. I think this goes back to what you said earlier, Mag, with regards to and I think what B Money, I think it was B who said something about big influencers, and I think about the Cyberpunk chairs and the reviewers that reviewed Cyberpunk, like Cyberpunk. Like there was some like again, I don't want to like OBM said too. I don't want to say that all reviewers do this, because there are some really, really good journalists out there that really do some great reviews, and ones that I would say that I go to on a regular basis. One, because I appreciate their work, and I feel like they that they're going to give me really how they feel about something. Right? It's not going to be something that's maybe influenced per se, but with the Cyberpunk stuff. A lot of the reviews I saw were like, it's almost like, did we play the same game? Because the performance of that game, and I played it on PC, was abysmal at times. And it took away from the immersion, the engagement of the game. Like, it was bad. And some of those things weren't talked about in some of the reviews that I read for Cyberpunk. It was kind of eye-opening for me at that point, where I was like, wait a minute, like, you can't do that. And now we know about, and in some instances, reviewers aren't finishing the game but putting out reviews, and that's that's something that is concerning for me as a consumer that happens, because I don't think that you can put out a review with not completing the game. Because imagine doing Gears 5, right? I think everyone on the panel has played Gears 5, right?
Yeah.
Imagine not getting to that point of the game, and then doing a review. And I think you guys, I hope you guys know what I'm referring to. I call it the decision. The decision. Yeah. Imagine not having that experience and then doing a review in that game. You wouldn't have been able to give that game a proper review by not having that experience. So, yeah. So, I do want to go on to the big PlayStation news, because, and actually our good friend Jeff Grubb just put out an article about this. So it looks like Sony had a meeting with investors today. They talked a little bit about kind of the investment in PlayStation and kind of the future. We're going to see PlayStation Studios, games on mobile, more live service games. I think OBM, we talked quite a lot about this behind the scenes. But you know what, guys, I'm sorry. You know what? There's some super chats I need to get to. So let me get to those first, because I'll forget.
They out here blowing up.
Yeah, they are blowing up. We have Lord Roughness with the $5 super chat. Says we've just moved on. Gone are the days you go into the store, picture title on the front would grab you, and then you'd read the back and decide. Yo, that's so true. Box art.
So true.
That's how
Remember that?
One of my top 5 games of all time. Yep.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm 46, man. That's how we used to do it in the 80s. We would go back there, you look, and you'd stare at the pictures and go, all right, I'm in.
Yeah, Mac, remember that Atari? Remember the Atari 2600? The box art for those games? Classic box art.
They were incredible. And they even had like those hand-painted, the hand-painted box art, for like,
it was beautiful.
Space Invaders. And you're like, ooh. Yeah. What were you going to wait for? The magazine to come out a month later with the review?
Exactly.
I will say Nintendo Power did a really good job of pushing whatever the hell they wanted to push.
Yeah. They did a good job of. They would also cosplay.
Seal of approval.
Yeah,
the seal of approval.
Seal of approval. That made you basically buy the damn game. Because you saw it, you're going, well, it's gold. I need it now. So that's a smart move, man. That was a smart move on their part.
I mean, Mag, remember, like you said, you would flip the box and you look at like the graphics of the game. Oh my God, that game looks amazing. Done.
I would do that for PC games, and I'd look at King's Quest. I turn around, and then I see like little Graham standing there, and there's like an ogre, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. Let's do this. And then just throw it on the counter. Come on, Dad, buy it. That's how we roll. Yeah, you just look at the 2 pictures on the back.
That was it.
There was no internet. There was no YouTube.
Nope.
There was no IGN. Nope. It was barely in a magazine.
No.
It was Nintendo Power, and then the other ones came in like the late 80s. That's it.
Yeah, EGM eventually came, Game Pro. Yeah, you're right. That's how we bought games. It wasn't no reviews, no Metacritic. It was you buy at your own risk. I mean, I got burned many times buying off of box art and pictures of the back. Those are good times. We have another super chat from JD Gamer. $10 super chat says, years ago, before publications like Kotaku gave a review score, it wasn't reviewed by just one of their journalists because of possible bias. Instead, it was an average of 2 or more reviewers. Do that now. GamePro used to do that all the time. Famitsu actually does that still. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way. They're a publication in Japan, and and they score games hard, by the way. If a game gets I've always had this rule of thumb. If a game gets 9s across the board from Famitsu, it's a good game, because they are like super hard on like reviews. So thank you for that super chat, JD Gamer. We also got another $5 super chat from JD Gamer. Says, excuse me, Biomutant is a good first try, just like the original Uncharted, and I hope they make another one to fix up the areas where they're lacking. Hashtag Biomutant 2 for me. Thank you for that super chat.
Good point. That's a good point, man. That's a really good point, because Uncharted didn't grab me, because I was looking for that Tomb Raider experience, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good. This is good. And I'm like, but it came free with my PS3, so what was I going to say? No? So I played it, but my God, when Uncharted 2 came out,
oh, it's so good.
I put the controller down after the train scene and just went,
so good.
That was the greatest thing I've ever played, ever in my entire life. And if they didn't give it that chance, we never would have got that Uncharted 2, the Uncharted 4, the Lost Legacy. I didn't like Uncharted 3, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying? So
Uncharted 3 wasn't as good as 2.
Let's do it. Biomutant 2, let's do it.
Yeah, no, that's a
They got to think they only had 20 people working on this game, so if it gets enough support, man, I'm sure
it's a great
THQ
point,
and those guys, they'll throw some more money at it and
give it
another go.
Yeah. Speaking of THQ, I like how they shut a fanboy down. I was like, that was great. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet.
Did see that tweet.
Yeah, but that was great. So back to Sony. So Sony announced that they they're going to focus on games on mobile, which I'm not surprised by that. There's money to be had, more live service games, and we talked about this before we went live. They're going to have new ports to PC. I keep telling people, we've said this on BRAP. We've been saying this on BRAP B Money for I feel like years now, where we said, look, Sony's going to go. They're going to put games on PC. And no, it doesn't hurt the PlayStation brand. I know people go, it devalues the console. It doesn't devalue the console. It just doesn't. And I'm not going to get into why
does
again.
The total opposite.
Thank you.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So here we go. We have Uncharted 4. A Thief's End is actually under more PC releases planned in this report. This report also included Days Gone, which just released, and Days Gone seems to be doing pretty well on Steam. But it looks like Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, is going to be the next PC release. I'm kind of surprised by that, because I would have thought that maybe they would have had the Uncharted bundle, like they released on PlayStation 4, like a remaster of 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I think
Uncharted Collection.
Uncharted Collection. Thank you. Games.
Yeah.
I think they want to redo those games before they bring them out, because they're better on the PS4, the collection, and putting it on the PS5. They do play better, but I think if they're going to do that, they're probably just want to revamp those games completely, because I think those games are probably going to get revamped for PS5 in general. They're going to give them texture updates and everything. They're probably going to have somebody go through and remaster that whole trilogy, and then that's when you'll see it hit PC.
Yeah. Well, I think this is look, I'm not surprised by this move by Sony. Uncharted 4 doesn't surprise me at all that they're going to bring more. And this is just a start. I mean, God of War is still sitting out there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see God of War on PC. I mean, look, I agree with you, man.
Closer to Ragnarok.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. But Mag, is it time for everyone just to buy a PC? Is it time for?
It's time.
I mean, Mag, is it time for people to invest in that 3090 we talked about before?
Yeah, well, if you sell your car, sure, yeah, go ahead, buy the 3090. But you know what? The thing is, when it comes to any console or PC, all these are at the end of the day is just a vehicle to take you where you need to go. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not devaluing the Xbox. It's not devaluing the PlayStation. It doesn't devalue Nintendo if they put them on PC for whatever reason. I'm just saying, okay? They're just vehicles to get you to where you're going. What they're trying to do, the goal is to play the game. Doesn't matter where you play it. And that's something that I you know what? I'll give it to Xbox. At the beginning of this generation, towards the end of the last one, what did they say? We don't care where you play our games, just play them. Because at the end of the day, it's all about engagement. It's no longer about how many consoles sold. That's a dead argument, okay?
Oh,
that's a last-gen argument.
Woo,
I'm
preach.
sorry, it's dead. It's dead. It's over, okay? Damn. Because now we have accessibility to so many other, avenues of technology that we can play these games. So if you say, I sold, whatever, PlayStation sold 2-1 over Xbox, who gives a shit? Because you know what, at the end of the day, you've got 22, 23 million, whatever people on Game Pass playing on their phones, on tablets, on consoles, on PC. And Sony's not stupid. Sony sees that. You know what they do? This is something, by the way, that's been going on for decades, by the way. Xbox kind of gets gets a little bit of guff because what they do, they kind of go out there first and like, yeah, we're going to make Xbox Live. And then what the other companies do, they sit back and they go, all right, let them do it. If they succeed, we'll do it too. If they fail, well, we're just still doing what we do. And so they seem to trailblaze forward. DRM, okay? Remember it was the devil in 2013, DRM? What's happening today, folks? Everybody's got digital everything with DRM. When people laughed at like whatever, what's it called? Connect. Everybody's going, "Hey Alexa, how do I make pancakes?" It's normal now, right? It's all normal now.
How do I make pancakes?
So now, right? But you know what I'm saying? This is what's happening now. But this is what I'm getting at. Sorry to go that whole long road there. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. But
Matt, can I just say something real quick? I'm sure you've heard this a million times.
I know. Is it Mooch?
You sound like Mooch, man. Like,
I know.
Even your rants, I'm like, is this Mag? Is this Mooch? Like,
I know. You know what? You should have seen us on Crossfire this Friday, dude.
You're like, who's who?
I know. Somebody was saying, well, at least they know that it's actually two people now because we were both on the same show. But anyhow, in all seriousness, though, it all comes down to this, too. Now it's about engagement, not about consoles, not about PC, not about whatever. All they care about is that you're playing the software. The money is in the software and in the services. They know it. Everybody knows it. And let's face it, at the end of the day, doesn't matter what flag you fly, where you lie your pillow on night, what cap you wear, or what color your blood is. Okay? What matters is these companies are there to make money. They don't care how they make that money. Okay? Sony could invest in pachinko machines if they think it's going to make them a ton of money. Okay? Just like Konami's doing or whatever. Right? So that's fine.
Konami's making money off of that.
Of course. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have God of War pachinko machines in Vegas next year. But the thing is, it's all about making money. All right? And so what they do, what is it? Services and engagement. Those are the two things that matter the most out of anything else. So the fact that these games are coming to PC, no surprise. The fact that these games are going to be coming to mobile, no surprise. Xbox was already doing it, but I think Sony wanted to let's just let Microsoft test the waters first. Because let's face it, they got money to burn, okay? And the thing is, they've got a lot of expendable money. Sony does too, but Sony doesn't want to take the risk because, they're not in the same category. Let's face it. When it comes to money, I'm not talking about quality or anything like that. Don't twist my words. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to burning money and being able to experiment with these things, Microsoft has a lot more leeway. So they're saying, let Microsoft do this, see how it's going. All of a sudden, look at Game Pass. Look at this. People are playing on the phones. People in South Korea are playing Game Pass on their cell phones now, stuff like that. It's starting to grow. And Sony's like, all right, let's do it. So I think what's going to end up happening here, this is great for PC owners. You don't need to own a console. You just need to be able to access the content. That's all that matters to me, and that's all that should matter to the consumer. Anything else is just people puffing out their chest and banging their chest, you know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to they're trying to big up over the other guy and this and that and the console war nonsense and all that kind of stuff. Great, that's fine. You guys could do all that. Just don't listen to that stuff. That's just nonsense.
Yeah.
The real people, the real gamers, the real community, what are we doing? We're just trying to access the content. Like, Brap, we were saying it before the show. If every single Xbox and PlayStation game was on the PC, why would you even buy the console at all?
I wouldn't buy the console at all. I'd be playing on PC. Best platform to play games.
Now, if you've got a console like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, which makes them what? Like $40 profit? Do you think that that's their focus?
They actually lose money on those.
Right. Okay. Right. So they lose money. I just wanted to kind of, cushion it in case I was wrong, which of course I was. But the point is, they're losing money on it. Do they care that they sold 100 million? No. What they care about is that those 100 million are purchasing their software and subscribing to their services. Right? Because like I said, it's a vehicle and a means to an end. That's what it's all about.
Well, so real quick, Meg, I just want to interrupt you real quick, man, and I'll let you finish your thought. But it's funny, like we had Optimus Code on. I think one of the first times we had Optimus Code on, and he used to work in the gaming industry, and he said that they started looking at they meaning Sony. They started looking at engagement numbers way before this generation, and it happened. It happened when the PlayStation 2 came out, because remember, a lot of the reasons, if you will, that people bought a PlayStation 2 was for what? The DVD player, right?
Oh yeah.
So Sony had to track how many people were buying software, what they were doing on the console. Were they just watching movies? I mean, so that metric has been, isn't anything new per se. The one thing I will say, I think where I might disagree with you, Mag, is that I think they do care to an extent about consoles being sold, because the consoles are still an avenue for them to make money per se. But
now it is.
But
because
I don't.
They don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but what I don't think it's not the most important metric anymore per se. For all the things you just mentioned earlier.
But I think if they grow the ecosystem outside of the PlayStation console, and if they really grow the ecosystem larger than that, which will take a few years, let's face it, it's not gonna happen overnight.
No, it's not.
Then it won't matter. Then it'll become the same situation as like what Microsoft is doing. Okay, where like or Nintendo, for example. Nintendo only has the console. That is the only way you can play a Nintendo product. So they need to move those products. Now, the other reason why, there's another thing, Brad, I will agree with you here. The consoles do matter for another reason, because they know that a lot of consumers are not like us. And I'm not saying, we're rolling in money. No, we're not. Okay? But the thing is, a lot of us are multi-console owners.
Yes.
But I would say about 80% of the gaming populace out there are not. And for different reasons. Maybe they don't want it. Maybe they don't see the value in that. They're not buying 30 games a year like we do or more, right? So what ended up happening is they got the one, or they can't afford it. They simply can't afford it. So they want to make sure that your one purchase out of that 80% of casuals that are out there, they want to make sure that one purchase is a Sony purchase, because then that keeps you in their ecosystem. So in that regard, I would say that the console sales are important.
I agree. Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at too, though. But
Sorry.
Great. No, Max. Seriously, great points all around, man. I mean, the game. It's changing now. It's that walled garden is coming down, and it's not just going to be Xbox or Microsoft that's doing it. Sony is clearly laying the foundation for that. And I actually, if we think about PlayStation a couple of years ago, even last generation, they were kind of, I think, pivoting that route anyway. If you think about they had the PlayStation, I forget it was it PS Now on Sony TVs? Didn't they have that for? They have been kind of in some ways kind of dipping their toes in the water. And then you think about the purchase of Gaikai all those years ago, which was the streaming service. So, yeah, I think that, look, I mean, whether you agree with it or not, at the end of the day, these companies want to make money. And
that's it.
It's like if they can get more people engaged into the ecosystem, if they can get PC gamers, and my argument to the people who say that putting their games on PC devalues the PlayStation brand, which I think is nonsense. Look, those people that have PCs probably weren't going to buy a PlayStation for the points you just mentioned, Mag, about how many people actually own, multiple consoles or multiple platforms. There's not many. And I think, I saw the figure, at least in the US, like a year ago, and you actually might be close there, Mag, with that 80-20. It might be more like 70% don't own multiple consoles, maybe 30% do.
Yeah.
I could be off, but anyhow. But to your point, like those PC gamers probably weren't going to buy a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 to play these games. And now Sony's basically just opening their consumer base, or opening their doors, if you will, to a group of people who weren't buying their games, who are probably going to buy them now at $60. So why not? You're making money now.
Why not? If you're on Steam and you're sitting there scrolling around and you see like Uncharted 4, and you're like, you know what? I never actually played Uncharted 4. Click. Right? And not everybody's going to do that, but a lot of people will do that. And then you've got and then of course I still think God of War is going to come out, I would say, somewhere in the range of 6 months before God of War Ragnarok comes out, because they're going to want to build anticipation and hype, right? So they want to get people playing the game, go, wow, that was magnificent. Oh, part 2's coming out? Right? And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's not coming to PC, but that might get that guy to buy a discount on Black Friday, might get a discounted PS5. Okay, and then get a God of War Ragnarok because the game was so good, it sold them on it. So like it's a multifaceted like avenue of way of making money, and why not? Like, I mean, I know like Jim Ryan is a bit of a clown here and there or whatever, but you know what? He's also a savvy businessman, and he was put there for a reason.
Yeah.
They didn't put him in that position for his good looks and his and his finely combed hair, okay, and his tan.
Or
They put
his
him
communication
there,
skills.
yeah, or his communication skills. Yeah, that's for sure. They put him there for a reason because he's a businessman. And so what
Exactly.
does
I
he
agree
do?
with that, yeah.
He's looking at he's looking across the pond, he's seeing what they're doing, and then you analyze what the competition is doing, and then you kind of, and then you kind of, create your own little war plan from there. So
Well, it's not even just what the competition's doing. It's what the market is doing, right? And that's
true.
like you mentioned, you mentioned Enrique. Those people weren't going to buy PlayStation anyways. I would take it a step further. It's like, so what, even if they were, because I think the thing that Microsoft already understands is that, yeah, there is a certain segment of PC gamers that will go buy a console for exclusives. I mean, I know some PC gamers that Switches or whatever for different, for their exclusives, and they go there, or they get a PlayStation, for those exclusives. But generally, they want to play on Steam, and that's where their friends and stuff are at. So the thing is like, even like, the thing is not every console sale is the same. So if somebody's buying your console,
Say that again one more time. That's a great point.
Every console sale is not the same. I'm starting to think like data and analytics, and I hope I don't bore people. This is my problem. I'll bust out the spreadsheets, and then I'll have to turn it back over to Mag for some analogies that kind of cheer everybody back up. But when I think about it, because I think about it like in my own business, it's like, so yeah, there is a segment of customers that are going to buy PlayStations, and they used to buy Xboxes, but they prefer to be on the PC. They prefer to be on Steam, and they get there and they just buy those exclusives, and they finish those exclusives, and they go right back to their PC. They don't tell their friends about it because all their friends are on PC. Now, when you meet them where they want to play, now they'll tell their friends about it. So yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of margin. Maybe you would get that you're going to lose a little bit of percentage sharing it with Steam or whatever, but you now have you have a lot more market potential. And the thing is, like, when you start talking about like the value of IPs, it really does come down to mind share and engagement. It's not just the sales. You can sell a good number and break even, but if that game dies off quickly, doesn't have any lasting mind share, they may not greenlight an exclusive. And that might have been what happened with Days Gone. And who knows now with this maybe like this resurgence, because it's kind of PC and it's getting a good reception, that could help bring it back. And that's, again, so this guy goes to your first point, Enrique, about this actually strengthening, and I think actually everybody here said it. It strengthens Sony. It's a no-brainer, and I would even take it a step further. I think they should, at some point, I feel like they will go day and date. They tend to slow play these things. I think they understand. They have a base of enthusiasts that this is really important to them to have, true exclusives and quote unquote true exclusives. And so they got to kind of navigate around that. So it's never like cut and dry, because you have to kind of deal with with people at the end of the day. But yeah, what ends up happening is you end up growing. What it's going to do for Sony, it's going to improve the value of their IPs, which is ironically has like this halo effect where it can actually drive the segment of customers that aren't going to game on PC might end up being driven out more towards your ecosystem, because overall you have better mind share in your IPs, and then also it makes them more versatile in terms of what they can make, because PC gamers will play different things than consoles gamers. And so what it does is it allows them to maybe diversify more, take some more risks, maybe on multiplayer games. Like you saw that Gears Tactics came to console on the Xbox, which I really enjoyed, by the way. But that's a game that would have never been made for the Xbox if there was no PC audience for them to make that for. And you'll see the similar things like. And so what this is going to do, it's really going to help them, really grow their brand towards just a whole audience that otherwise would have been locked away. And yeah, you may lose console sales over time. Like somebody like Enrique might eventually go, you know what, I'll just wait 6 months or whatever for these games or down the road. And maybe eventually they come day and date and you go, I don't need the console. But you know what, if you're only going there for the exclusives, then what are they really losing? Like they're actually gaining, because for that percentage, now Enrique is going to tell his PC friends, hey, why don't you go buy, I'm playing Days Gone. Why don't you go buy, or I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima and it's got this great co-op. Why don't you go get it and we can play that together? So it really just opens up all these new opportunities. And, and I know like Slomo's not here right now, but he showed us those charts over and over again, and those are true. The PC market is growing, the console market is stagnant. It's not that it's going to die. It's the console market is what it is. There's certain countries it's not going to penetrate ever. It hasn't so far, and it's definitely not over the next 5 years or so. 5G is around the corner. Mobile's growing. So there's all these other things that are growing. They need to start positioning themselves so that they don't get left. Because right now the thing is, like, Microsoft is going to be releasing these games, and they could get outsold by PlayStation, but still sell more copies on average of their games because they're going to be in so many more places. If Sony doesn't do the same thing, which I think they're going to smartly, do that.
Yeah, that's a great point, OBM. Real quick, I'll go to you, Forte. I want to get some super chats real quick. Evan Board Saga with the $2 super chat says, shout out to my Pride Time gaming brother, Mag. Thank you for that super chat. And I think we had, hold on. Missed. Here we go. They got another one from Evan Board Saga. The $5 super chat says, I have a 3080, but I still play on console. That said, I want to see if all the I don't need Xbox because I have PC dudes will still feel that way. It's funny he said that because we talked a little bit about that before we went live, Mag. And I think I'm caught up on super chats. I am. So go ahead, Forte.
No, what OBM just said hits it right on the head. The biggest thing for me that really sticks out is the fact that once again we have come to a crossroad where if something is working on another platform and it seems to be very profitable and there's nothing for them to lose, you're going to see the other one copy it. It was only a matter of time. Once Xbox started throwing all their games on PC and they're leading the Steam charts, you see Sea of Thieves still topping it whenever a new update comes out. Every time Halo Master Chief Collection gets another entry into their, they add another game to the service on PC, you see that jump up the top of the charts on there. Horizon 4 came out, you saw that happen, jump directly to the top. And that's also with an option where you can actually get the game in Game Pass with your subscription through the Xbox launcher, so it's PC gamers most of them just want to buy their games and they just want to experience them over there. And I just truly believe that if you give them exactly what they want and allow them to play in the ecosystem they want, they're going to buy your games. Like he said, it's for every console they sell. I bought my PlayStation 5 mostly for God of War. Now, if I only play God of War on that system and never buy any other game for it, how much of a benefit is that to Sony? I'm not really giving them the revenue that they expect for out of every system. So, when it comes to these systems, they're talking about $2,000 per person that buys these systems in revenue, because that's how much these people spend on games between third party and first party. But when you go to PC, PC gamers are a little bit more enough to actually go out and spend more money on games when they come out day one and day and date. So I do think that sooner or later is going to happen. Who knows? It's just more of a stare down at this point to see what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. But overall, there's nothing wrong with any of this situation at all. I look at it as a net positive for everybody involved. I think if you have a PC, you're basically just the best of both worlds, which it's always been for PC. It's always been literally the console that could do everything. It just didn't have some of the select games that, console people have. And now that's even starting to, pivot, especially where most of these games are either being shown off on PCs for the first time or being developed on PC and just, scaled down to the lowest common denominator when it comes to whatever console they're going to play on. I just think that this is amazing for just people in general, and some people aren't going to like it just because they just like the fact that their console is a sanctuary, and I get that. People like the fact that their console is a closed ecosystem where they don't have to interact with the PC fans or the PC gaming market. And let's be for real, it's not as bad as it used to be when it comes to that, but there's also precautions and safety things they can put into place, so when you do collide with those different entities inside of PC gaming, that it's not as bad as you think. But this is just the beginning, and who knows what the next step is going to be. But we've been talking about this for over a year. As soon as the first game, Horizon, got announced, we knew something else was coming, and not even Uncharted. Uncharted 4 is that's just the cliff note. I like that. The part I noticed the most is when they said more games for PC are being will be announced. And that pretty much tells me that pretty much everything that came out on PlayStation 4 that's exclusive is more than likely going to make its way over there. And sooner or later, we're going to hear more and more information about that. I wouldn't be surprised by this time next year, pretty much every first-party game that you heard on your PlayStation up until this point will probably already be announced to be coming over there.
Yeah. Real quick, some of the live chat wants to hear what B Money what has to say. Big.
No.
What?
Somebody in the live chat says
what?
Somebody in the live chat says, what does B Money 101 have to say?
About what?
About what we're talking about here.
About games going to PC, man.
Yeah.
I've said a long time ago, man. As soon as PlayStation and Xbox get all the games on PC, man, I'm throwing these consoles out the window. I don't care. Like, I'm playing on PC. Like, if I can save money as a consumer, why would I buy a console when I don't have to?
Facts.
Well, yeah, because even
that's just common sense.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're gonna put the bets, to me, first-party games are the best games. When you take the time and make a game specifically for your hardware from a first-party studio, those to me are the best games. If you look at every one of them, Halo, best game. Yeah, I mean, Uncharted, one of the best games. God of War, one of the best games. Mario, one of the best games. Donkey Kong, one of the best games. Like, first-party games are some of the best games. So, like, if you're gonna start putting your first-party games on PC, guess what? I don't need your console. Put all the best games in one place. Why would I go anywhere else?
Yeah.
Yo, people in the live chat are funny. I'm reading some of these comments, and it's like,
yeah,
you know, like
I feel like we got to talk about this because, like, there's sentiment that, you know, some people move from back to if they don't buy the console, you know, because they already have a PC, that suddenly console gaming is going to die. And you know, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, like consoles are still going to have value. I think the best analogy I can think of is maybe using like a sports one. Like, you know, if you watch the NBA over the last 20 years, you know, they changed the game and it went from like a big man game to like guards and outside shooting became a lot more important. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're like a big man doesn't matter. You still want to have a good big man on your team. It's just their values diminished within the rules. And I think, you know, as we move forward, like consoles are still going to have a place for a while, and if anything, they're going to have more devices. They want more. They want to have more ways to bring you into the ecosystem, not less. There's no reason for them to not offer you to offer a segment of gamers, and it doesn't matter if it gets as low as 20 million. I'm using some crazy numbers here. I don't see console gaming getting that much lower over the next like 10 years, or, you know, 5 to 10 years. But even if it did, like, they're still going to offer you those devices. You look at like what Amazon does with all their, you know, they don't care if you buy a Fire Stick or if you get into their bookstore through another device or what. They still put these options out there for you, right? Because they just want to give you as many roads into the ecosystem as possible. When you think about like why the Sega Dreamcast died, it's because they couldn't sell enough software, because that was the only way to get you into the ecosystem. Yep. If they were able to still make all the revenue on the software and services, and that was just a lane, then they probably wouldn't have died. But they needed to go completely third party because that was the only way they could stay in business. So it's a completely different thing. And I think people don't realize it. They look at the history, they look at all the consoles that died when it was the only way into the ecosystem, when it was the only way to sort of become profitable as a platform. You know, you had to sell something. But these days it doesn't. Like, they make hardware for like niche things, and like I said, they'll probably have. There's been rumors of you know, other ways, you know, like Microsoft. There's been rumors that they'll come out with something else for you to access, you know, their streaming or something. They're gonna think of as many ways to get you in the damn ecosystem as possible. Because again, it has that halo effect. So even 10 million console gamers that are talking about your ecosystem is going to drive PC gamers. It's going to drive people on mobile and all that other stuff. So.
Yeah. Shout out to Little F Boy. He says you spent $500 to buy once and never play it again, which a lot of people don't do. Instead of having a consistent $70 per game, Sackboy, Destruction All Star, Spider Man, Miles Morales, Demon Souls, and Godfall, etc., and Astral Playroom. Question is, well, the statement is, I have every last one of those games on my PS5, and for me, it's not I just bought it for God of War because I know that's pretty much directed what I said about just buying it just for God of War. But I own all those other games too. But I'm gonna tell you right now, people that are on PC, they do buy a console literally for one game that they really want to play because they know they can't get it on their console on their PC, and they will just buy it for that one game, and then they'll put it on the shelf, and it will sit there for 3-4 years before the next game comes out. And that does definitely happen.
And there's console gamers who buy a console just for one game.
It's just for one game, and that definitely does happen. And the funny thing is, now that Sony has come out and basically let this leak out, we knew this was already the case with their first party when it comes to some games coming over. But now that these documents are out there, now you're basically just telling PC gamers for now going forward that you really don't need to buy a system from us, because guess what? Our games are going to sooner or later come over. And we always keep talking about the fact, like, some people will not wait. Some people like B Money, like Eric Jackson, like myself, like Slomo, like Brap. We're not going to wait. We're going to play the games where they're available at day one if it's something we want to play. But there are a lot of people out there that's like, yo, I'm not buying that. Trust me, Grand Theft Auto was one of the few games that sold people went out and bought consoles for because they knew it wasn't coming to PC anytime soon. Red Dead was another one. So there's only a few games out there that can do that. For the most part, people are going to sit there and say, yo, that's coming to PC. It's not a game that I got to play day one. I'm just going to wait for it. And that's what's pretty much going to happen now. With the announcement, well, not even the announcements, but the leak of this document that says that not just 2 or 3 games, pretty much all of the games are going to hit the PC platform.
Yeah,
Should. If you can double back on something that, if I could sell you some old sneakers from 5 years ago,
yeah,
why would I not do that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like those games have lived their life already. Put them somewhere else so somebody else can buy them. Guess what? The ROI that they get on those games is gonna be out the window. You know what I mean? Like they made their bread on those games already.
That's a great
Just
point, B.
Extra return on investment.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and B, to your point, man, you talk about ROI. Like you look at a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which was profitable for Sony. It goes on PlayStation. I mean, it goes on PC. It's like you said, that's even more money for them now. They've already passed that break-even point on the PlayStation platform. Right?
Exactly.
And now they're just making more money. But yeah, that's a great point, B. I gotta say, some of the hey Forte,
well,
Forte, is this your man in here?
Who?
Whose man is this? Should I even bring his name up? No. He needs a paint color. We're not going to do that.
We got some color on the screen. We got a Borbor Katrai. He's basically saying $5 super chat. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Can anybody say maybe PlayStation takes a different path? Not same day releases. That's why people call you guys bots. Give us an alternative. Listen, it's not even about saying PlayStation is going to go day and date, because nobody knows what PlayStation. We didn't know Xbox was going to go day and date 5 years ago when they started this whole Play Anywhere initiative, and then it just manifested itself into a situation where it's called Game Pass, and now all your games are everywhere. Xbox stumbled across that because their games weren't selling like they needed to sell on console. So they found a alternative, which was day and date on PC, where a lot of people wanted to play those games where they were never available for, and they struck gold when it came to that. And now they're basing their whole ecosystem, the whole platform is based on that now. PlayStation may not do that same exact thing, but this just goes back to the age-old notion. When you see something working from somebody else, everybody copies it. And sooner or later, PlayStation may not do exactly what Xbox does, but guess what? They're going to do some variation of it, because you're already seeing it not even 2 years after the announcement, where it took Microsoft close to 5 years to completely just dive completely all the way in. They're going to do something along the same lines, but who knows when it's going to happen.
Even if it's only a year later. Like, if Ragnarok comes out next year, and then in 2023, Ragnarok is on PC, who gives a shit?
Right, you already got your money's worth.
Yeah, I don't care.
You had the opportunity to buy the game when it came out day one.
Sure
You
did.
didn't buy it. Oh well. Now it's on PC. Now somebody else can buy it. How is that hurting you? Why are your feelings so damn hurt? Why are you crying?
It doesn't.
I don't understand.
I don't get it. I'm actually. I mean, I'm a console guy. I actually. I'm probably the rarity that comes on your show here. That even if I had, even when I've had a PC better than my console, I still played on the console because just whatever. I mean, it's my preference. I don't give a shit. Like I don't really, justify it. But I was happy when Xbox started doing that because I'm like, oh, good. Now they can start making first party games like when they did that a few years back when they weren't making them because there's more of a base for them, right? And that's going to be the same thing. Like this just grows them. And what would be kind of ironic is if we end up hearing, like, let's just say Days Gone does do well, and now they've changed their mind on greenlighting that, because I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Alan Wake kind of was a commercial disappointment on the 360, and they at that time they decided, hey, we ain't going to do anything with this, and then it went over to PC, and for whatever reason it caught on with Steam, and now all of a sudden it was they
did like 5 million.
That's
how it reached that. Once they put it on PC.
Its mindshare went way up, and I bet you, like, even today, like that would have probably been a game that people forgot about if had it never gone to Steam and or gone to PC and ended up building back up that base and getting that many more people that wanted a sequel. So now obviously they're going to be greenlighting something, but that's just one example, and I know that's a little bit different situation, but it's just giving you an idea that if you can find the more ways that you can reach people, the better chance you're going to get that you'll get sequels, and they'll take risks, and they'll do riskier things, right? So anyways, I think we've kind of everything.
I gotta say something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this somebody in live chat says PlayStation is the only one keeping the gaming industry alive.
They must forgot about Nintendo leading this charge
that's
right
the most. First of all, that's the most. That comment right there shows me. That comment right there shows me. That comment right there shows me this person has no idea what the fuck's going on in the gaming industry. Like, clearly Nintendo is living in this bubble, this echo chamber of like dumbness. Like it's not just PlayStation. Are you fucking kidding me? Like the gaming industry isn't just consoles. It's PC. It's platforms. It's Steam. It's Nintendo. It's Xbox. It's PlayStation. Like that. I mean, it's Rockstar. It's
Rockstar. It's about to charge y'all charge us all $70 for another version of Grand
Which we talked about last week, which they're gonna do. What are we doing here, people? Come on now.
Oh man,
we all go buy it.
What were you gonna say, man?
No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. You literally just keyed on the one comment I was gonna key on, because it's like, to me, I'm saying, like, people don't understand. It's like, we talk about, like, a lot of us play on Xbox. I know B and E, they play a lot on PlayStation. You play a lot on PC, and Slow-Mo plays PlayStation and PC. But people make it seem like we just have this super agenda, like, yo, is Xbox or bust, or is this or bust?
No,
or PC
Forte, we're gamers.
It's all about, we don't care.
Games or bust.
Yeah, games or bust.
That's
right.
it.
Enrique's secret is he is a pony, by the way.
Well, we finally beat the pony out of him a year ago.
He's definitely. I mean, he loves Sony games, right? So, like,
he does.
But at the end of the day, it's about the game. By the way, Echo Chamber of Stupidity. That really does sound like a great title for a game. So, but yeah, I think we beat the hell out of that one.
No, but B, what did you say earlier? But you said it's about the games, right?
Of course, man. That's what I've always said. I go where the games are, and it's about the games, man. All the other stuff is just BS at the end of the day.
It really is. That's why I think it's funny, B, when people say that we're like, it's like 1 week we're Xbots, 1 week we're ponies. It's like,
right.
No, it's like, it makes you laugh because we're just gamers. We go where the games are. If Oculus Quest puts out a fucking game that's fire, I'm going to be on my Oculus Quest 2 playing it.
Yeah, it's like, what I mean, we got the pre-E3, sort of announcements, hitting us this week, and we learned about the at least 5 new games coming from the Xbox press
For the
conference.
Xbox showcase, yeah.
And it's like, yo, that shit gives me goosebumps. It's like, yo,
Right.
5 new games, you know what I mean? Like we don't know what they're working on, what it could be. You know what I mean? We do know that the show's supposed to be like 90 minutes long.
Yep.
And they combined it with Bethesda, so it's like, yo, what could those games be? Is Microsoft finally at that point where, you know what I mean, like we can really start getting excited? And it's just like, you know what I mean, there's so much other stuff like Far Cry 6, I think is
Far Cry 6 gets showed
on
day after
Friday,
tomorrow. Yeah.
and then Horizon is tomorrow. Like there's so much stuff, like so many big games and stuff that we should be getting excited about. Like I don't understand why people are still worrying about
Dying Light
consoles.
is finally getting an update.
Yeah,
this
Dying
week.
Light it's tomorrow actually. I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Dying
Yeah,
Light's
you're right.
tomorrow.
That's before the PlayStation.
Yeah,
And let me ask you this though. For us not being, people that's like, oh my God, you guys are Xbox and stuff, and PlayStation rules. When you guys heard that Horizon Zero Dawn was having a state of play with 20 minutes of gameplay, what did you guys think? Because I was like, yo, can't wait to see this. I'm mad as heck I gotta work.
I was legitimately aroused.
I won't say I was going that far, but I was sitting there like, yo, I wish I was not at work, because guess what? I want to watch it. Me and Slomo gonna talk about it hopefully on DPS if he gets his power back. But it's just, when I saw it, this is the time of year that we all get excited for. We just want to know what's coming, no matter like what platform we have. We go out and spend $2,000-$3,000 for our PCs, our Xboxes, our PlayStations,
Preach, Brother Forte.
our Nintendo Switches. We ain't spend all that money just to sit here and talk to you guys. We want to play games too.
That's a great Forte. That's a great point, man. And like, like the other thing we could talk, like this kind of ties into the topic with PlayStation outside of PC. Yo, we got Horizon Zero Dawn, 20 minutes of gameplay.
20 minutes of gameplay tomorrow, man.
That is mind-blowing. And Sony with the PlayStation 5 right now is killing it with exclusive content. Like for PlayStation right now. Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, Forbidden West. We had
PlayStation is like your grandma. Like when you go visit your grandma, you know what I mean? And she always trying to sit you down at the table. Make sure you eat.
Yep.
Like, sit down, son. I got some spaghetti in the oven. You know what I mean? The roses be ready in just a minute. Oh, I got the salad for you. Okay. You done with that? Okay, I got dessert too. Do you want a snack? That's exactly what PlayStation is doing right now. They got everything. They've been on a roll for the last couple of months. With all this crazy content. We got Horizon tomorrow. You know what I mean? Ratchet is right around the corner. They still have been super quiet on whatever they're doing for E3, if they're doing anything at all. You know what I mean? They've made announcements of all these partnerships that they have, and games are coming. So it's like, there's so much stuff to be excited about. I don't understand why people are so worried about fucking console wars. This shit is so dumb to me.
Because they need to get outside and get some vitamin D.
Oh Lord.
No, I meant like, from the sun. That's what, what I meant.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Okay. Because that can mean something else. And anyhow, look.
Yeah, you never know what you
Yeah. Let me get this super chat real quick from Kent. $5 super chat from Kent. Thank you, Kent. It says, PC gamer here and PS5, my first console since N64. The wider audience, the better, but prefer console gaming after a year of, what is WF on PC? What is that? WFH on PC, Couch Plus TV. I don't know what that is. And I play on PC, so I don't know. And then we got another $5 super chat from middle-aged gamer guy who said, I had a blackout. Sorry. Didn't get a chance to say thank you for a great show, Jets. Yes, we had middle-aged gaming guy on he for about an hour tonight. He can only give us an hour of his time. We're definitely going to get you back on, Mag. Definitely going to get you back on. It's going to be awesome next time we have you on. Yeah, it's gonna be great, and it was seriously awesome having you on the show tonight, man. So thank you again for coming on. We'll get you back on soon again, brother. Yeah, so I mean, back to like Horizon. God, I can't even talk now. Forbidden West.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Thank you. Do you guys think tomorrow we get a release date from Sony?
I mean, if they're showing you 20 minutes of gameplay, man.
Probably,
I mean, yeah, if they're showing you 20 minutes of gameplay, they're not doing anything at. Well, we know they're not having a press conference at E3. if they're gonna have a dedicated, because they gave us the release date for for Ratchet and Clank at that state of play, didn't they? Or did they give us just a window?
I don't remember, man.
Something tell me they gave us the release date, but I was like, if you're gonna dedicate 20 minutes to just showing it off, I would think you would kind of let people know when it's coming, like the day and stuff. Well, because at this point, the game must be in a it must be in a place where it's not too far from going gold if they're willing to show off this much of it. And they did say that this game was a definite 2021 launch. And that means it could probably be coming anytime from September. I wouldn't be surprised if that game comes in September instead of late holiday, because PlayStation has kind of moved away from trying to launch in the dead of the holiday because there's so many other games coming out and they don't want to, I mean, not saying they can't compete with those games. They don't have to. They could just release early and get even more mind share during that. So I think we will get the release date. It just comes down if it's going to be a holiday or right before it.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Forte. B Money, what do you think, man? You think we're gonna get? The release date? And if you do, what do you think that release date might be?
I don't know, man. I was just looking at something because I was trying to see, remember exactly when Ghost of Tsushima released. And it actually released in July.
Yeah, they got pushed back. Yeah.
So, I want to say this is probably late August, September.
That's why I was going to say September because that's when Spider-Man came out.
Yeah. But it also just depends on whatever else they got in tuck. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, since they've been confirming this is a 2021 game, they could have something else that releases before this or whatever, so it could hit in October or whatever. So but I think we're looking at the fall for Horizon.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And I think Obum, I think you said you think that we'll get a release date tomorrow too, right?
Well, I mean, I think they're at least going to tell us it's coming out this year, because that would make news, right? That'd make headlines to say that you're going to have this AAA game coming out this year. And I think they want that noise while, first of all, I think they want to make as much noise as they can with this one game before, other people have their E3 shows, just to stay in the cycle. I don't think spreading that particular thing out would benefit them that much. This is the time to really throw that out there. And, considering that we hadn't seen much on it, and that I think a lot of people assume that most games are going to get delayed, I think there was a reasonable reason to believe that this was going to be a game that ended up being in 2022. So if it is 2021, which it looks like, if they got that much gameplay, then I think saying it would be big news, and so why not?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know what's funny? Somebody in live chat brought up Deathloop. Deathloop, I think, comes out in September. So,
right,
I mean, it's another.
That's what I figured. It could be August too.
So,
Deathloop looks like it might be their best game. I don't know, just from what I've seen so far, it might be the one that gets. I hope it does. Arcane needs to get some love finally from the mainstream.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Arcane's a very talented studio. So I want to grab this super chat real quick. And I love this super chat right here. $5 super chat from Gerald Mack. He says, this is clearly going to be the best generation in gaming, with both companies competing at a high level. Shout out to the panel. Gerald, I mean, well said. I mean, both companies, I've said this on other shows, and I've said this on Brap too. I think that this is going to be one hell of a generation, and as gamers, we're going to get some great content. I haven't been this hyped for a console generation in quite some time, but I am so excited. You have Nintendo, you have Sony, you have Microsoft. All three console makers right now are basically firing on all cylinders at this time.
I can't think of a generation where all three were firing at the exact same time. Like, even if you think about it, well, I mean, it was pretty exciting back during the PS2 OG Xbox GameCube days, but the PS2 did outsell everything else like 6-1. So it wasn't really much of a competition, and they did get the vast majority of the third party games. But really, you think about it, like then the following generation. So, Sony came out slow, and then Microsoft took off the gas at the end and focused on Kinect, and then the Xbox One happened, and this is real. And then you had the Wii U, so this is good. Really, the first time I feel like all three are really good. Yeah, like you're saying, are going to be at the super high level. And the other thing that, again, I know this wasn't one of your topics, but we did get to see the Unreal Engine 5 demo come out today, and I think that people are really, really underestimating what these tools are going to do. There's so many more developers, so many more regions involved in development this generation. So many, and so all this competition is just driving them to try to spend more and more money to, obviously differentiate their platforms. And it is going to be kind of a bloodbath. There is going to be a lot more exclusives, I think. There's probably going to be, you're probably going to see more exclusives across the board than you've ever seen, which is kind of a good thing, because all these developers jumping in there are going to need to get exposure, and it's just going to drive them to start taking risks with some of these guys. But you start looking at like what small developers can do with like something like Unreal Engine 5 in terms of like graphics and animations, and really being able to produce quality that really only AAA developers could have produced in the past. You're going to have a different level of floor with so many more developers. And like, I think people are get really too caught up in sometimes in these details. And I understand, like, we're starting off a little bit slow, and especially on the Xbox side, they weren't really ready for this. But I believe like a year from now, or a year and a half from now, you're going to end up seeing kind of like a high point that we haven't seen across the board, maybe ever, and so that's something to be excited about, regardless what platform you end up, getting, it's sticking with.
Yeah, that's a great point, Obam. I think that, like you said, like we're seeing. I mean, I think we're starting to see that with some games that are coming out in the near future. Like I think of some games that are coming out of China right now, where like I think it's like what is it, Wukong? I forget the title of the whole game, but Wukong is one game that comes to mind.
Like Myth Wukong.
Yeah, like right, where it's not a big like development studio per se, right? But
Right.
Look at that game; it looks like a AAA game per se, right?
Look at Side Games and the Project Awakening.
Yeah, Project Awakening. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And they didn't even have the full. They didn't even have the tool set the tools that are coming out now, which are now taking it to another level. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Brandon G says Lost Soul aside. So yeah, I mean it's good. Yeah. It's gonna be fun, man. That's a great point, Obim. So hey, by the way, Forte, I love your tweet. I guess we're X-Spots now. Come join us, but. Real quick, we have over 200 people watching the show. Please, everyone, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Appreciate it. Hey, we got my man Fame in the house. By the way, Fame is actually going to be joining us this Saturday for our BRAP rant. BRAP rant comes back this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to have my man Fame on. Fame has not been on BRAP in quite some time, so big shout out to Fame in the live chat. Definitely want to join that show. It's going to be a great, great show. So I lost my train of thought here. We're talking about PlayStation, and now I forgot what we're talking about because I'm old, clearly.
We talked about the Horizon release date.
Oh yeah, Horizon release date. Yeah. So yeah,
scrolls and praise people in the chat.
Yeah. I'm thinking again, guys. I agree with you guys. I think we're going to see a release date. I can't imagine them doing 20-minute video of gameplay and not actually give a release date. I find that hard to believe. I could be wrong, but I really feel like they're gonna give us a release date. So, yeah, I'm hyped. I can't wait. Like you said, B Money, like we're starting to get like that drip of news now as we get into E3, and E3 is right around the corner. Right, we're basically 2.5 weeks away, I think. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's look,
It's almost here.
It's almost here. So
It's almost Christmas.
it is almost Christmas.
Put your jackets on. Get your eggnog.
Get your eggnog, right? Want to grab the super chat real quick from JD Gamer, the $5 super chat. Thank you again, JD. He says Ninja Theory is getting a whole new office, and I would love to see a remake and continuation of the Enslaved Odyssey to the West series. It was a favorite. Thank you for that super chat, JD.
That would be dope in a new engine.
Yeah, that would be.
Because it already looked like crazy, back on PS3 360 days. So that in a new engine, man, with all the new tech.
I can't wait to see what they do with UE5. I'm a bit sad they're not going to be at the E3 show in a couple weeks, though. But I can't wait to see what they do and what Coalition, those teams can do with that new tech.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, I agree with you, Obum. Like I'm really interested to see that. So speaking of E3, it's official now. Microsoft will have their E3 Bethesda presentation on, I'm gonna say June 13th, which is a Sunday. And it sounds like too, there was I'm sure you saw this, Obum and B Money and Forte, Cobril, I think that's his name on Twitter. I always forget his.
Yeah.
Tweeted that there could be like some big, like five new, I guess, AAA. And if I'm misquoting him, please let me know.
Did he say AAA?
I don't remember.
He did say AAA.
He did say AAA.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He did.
I don't think it's AAA because I'm expecting a mix, because they do have big, medium, and small projects going on at the same time. So when I hear 5 games and no leaks on a couple of them, I would expect though not every one of them is going to be a AAA, but it's just a guess.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, Obum. I don't think that's going to be like big games, and Jeff Grubb actually mentioned this on his last Games Mess podcast that people should, and I asked him too. I said, hey, if they're gonna, should we kind of pump the brakes? He's like, yeah. And he said as much too on his live show. It's like people should kind of temper their expectations with the Xbox. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. Xbox E3 showing. That we're not going to see, all these, we're not going to see Perfect Dark or anything like that. We'll see Starfield. Me personally, I just want to see Starfield. That's all I really care about. I want to see what this game looks like. Because there's a lot of hype around it. So I want to see what Bethesda is cooking with this game. But again, according to Jeff, and I would say Jeff's probably going to be spot on with this. That it kind of temper expectations with Microsoft's E3 showing.
Well, I think the thing there is, and he's aware of it, that they have all these teams and people are, they were expecting like basically they're going to bring out the kitchen sink and this is going to be the E3 of dreams, and it's not. It's they've already said they're pulling back. I think it's pretty well known that Hellblade's not going to be there. Everwild's probably not going to be there. Avowed may not be there. Like a lot of these games they announced, they're probably not going to show again until they're ready to do like a gameplay demo, which makes sense. You don't want to run CG a few times in a row. You also don't want to have what you had last year with Halo Infinite and show a game that's not ready to be shown. Or you don't want to try to fake a vertical slice that you don't live up to. So there's like all these things that can happen if a game's just not ready to be shown. So I understand why last year they had to kind of, basically paint a roadmap because people have been asking what the hell you guys been doing for all this, all these years. And they had to, I think, maybe show things a bit early. But I wouldn't expect a lot of those to re-show. I still think the one thing I will say though, and I think he even Grubb, mentioned this in previous shows, is that a lot of it's really just going to depend on what you think of Starfield and Halo, and the other one that might be there is Arcane's other new game because that's been in development a long time. So if they show those 3 and those games show well, that's probably the best show they've had in many years, really, when you think about it, because they have. How many years has it been since they've had a brand new AAA IP? And at E3. I don't know. I think
Been
I feel
quite a
like
while.
it's been
20
a while.
years.
So if you get 2 or 3 of them, that's, I mean, so I still expect it to be good. Again, it's going to depend on how Halo shows. I'm bullish on Halo. I know Enrique feels a little bit different, but the things that I've been hearing, I'm expecting.
I don't know, man.
Especially the multiplayer. I think the multiplayer is really, going to be something on that game. But I do have high expectations for that. Obviously, like you, Starfield is a game that I am very interested in. Bethesda games, Bethesda Softworks. Their Fallout and Elder Scrolls games sell jillions of copies, so there's no reason to think that if this from their A team lives up to any of those bars, that it's not going to be a big deal. And then Arcane, even though it's probably not a mainstream studio at this point in time, I'm really excited to see what happens now that they get more support, can bring in more developers if they need to, maybe polish some of the, I think maybe some of the weaknesses they've had in the past is like gunplay and things like that. So I think they now have the backing they need to maybe take their games up to like just a tick that might get them over the hump when it comes to the mainstream attention. So I'm hoping that's the one I'm really hoping to see more on. And then I think that multiplayer game, the Cyclone one, they're going to reveal what that's going to be, and that's going to be an interesting one. So there's going to be some good things there. Just don't expect like E3 of dreams, or like this is they're. I don't think they're ever going to go back to trying to throw the kitchen sink at you at an E3. Anyways, the new marketing strategy is, again, it's a little bit more similar to Netflix. It's like try to have the ongoing conversations, save things for later in the year, and try to have news throughout the year. So I do expect some big news when it comes to Game Pass and things like that. So I think there's going to be some good things overall. Just temper your expectations if you're hoping that this is going to be, Sony's E3 of dreams or something like that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think if there's any kind of maybe perhaps disappointment, and it's something I'm reading in the live chat here. Double M, by the way, who was an Xbox Live beta tester as well, as was I. And believe it or not, I've known Double M for like 20 years. We used to be part of the same Xbox Live clan. It's crazy. Here he's in the live chat. It's really cool. But he says you got this powerful console, but you need to show it off what it can do. Only first party usually show off the bells and whistles. Just facts. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point. It's probably the one thing I'll say that it's a glaring weakness per se with Microsoft. They haven't had that game to do that just yet, right?
Right. And I think Ninja Theory was going to be that. But yeah, the UE5 stuff wasn't ready. So yeah, I think you're right, and I think Double M does have a point. That's usually what people look for at the beginning of a generation, to go 2 E3s and not. We know that Arcane usually, their games they look nice, but they're not going to be the thing that drops your jaw usually. I mean, maybe we'll be surprised, but and same with Bethesda, right? So yeah, you're probably not going to get that for another E3 if you're looking for a technical showcase. But that's just a guess. I don't know for a fact. There could always be a surprise, but I do think Hellblade was probably that game, and it's just not. They're not comfortable showing it right now.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest fear that most Xbox gamers have, is not having a game that is going to finally showcase the power of what this next gen system Xbox has had. They've been talking about this pretty much since 2018 when the X came out, and it's been that kind. Well, 2017 when that's been the conversation for power, and how can you have these games, have this system where the games don't take advantage of it, compared to like the only one that's really did that was something like Red Dead Redemption and of course I think Hive Busters did a really good job of that too, but people aren't going to count that because it's a game that they already seen before in Gears of War. They're tired of seeing the same games. So ultimately it just comes down to when are they going to do it? And I think that's the one thing that a lot of people are kind of afraid of that are in the Xbox camp. I'll tell you, I'm kind of afraid of that. The only difference is for me is I'm not about to go out and keep talking about something that I can't fix. Like right now, we can't fix that problem. Some people are saying, well, you can fix it by not going out and purchasing the system, but I'm not about to pigeonhole myself on a platform that I enjoy playing on, because let's be for real, Xbox hasn't had a stellar first party in quite some time. We're talking about 10 years plus. You know, most people that play on Xbox at this point now are mostly doing it for the fact that that's where all their friends are. That's where most of their games are already purchased at. They just enjoy the ecosystem. That's kind of where Xbox gamers are. And then some of them do enjoy some of the the first party games that do release on the platform, but they don't live or die by the games on that first party platform. But ultimately, Xbox gamers want to see the same thing that everybody else want to see. We want to see great games come to the platform, and we want to see a system that we spent, you know, over the course of 2 generations, over $1,000 on, effectively, you know, stand out like it should stand out. That doesn't mean it has to be PlayStation level of fidelity or anything but we just want something that's interesting, something that Xbox can say like, yo, this is why I bought that system. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to be looking at E3 for. I don't know if you're going to get that ultimately, because we don't know where the development on a lot of these games are. I do think that's going to come at some point, because we're starting to see games like I said, Highbusters came out, one of the best looking games that came out on this platform. I'll put that game up against a lot of different games when it comes to the makeover they did with it. And then, like you just talked about, when it comes to Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2, I just think we're so far out, and that's the thing that nobody wants to acknowledge. They just want to keep saying, well, you've been waiting, and that's a Microsoft problem. Well, Xbox did that to themselves by coming to the party late, and everybody understands that, but it still doesn't change the fact that we know that is something that's going to be there. Xbox just needs to capitalize on that by finally showing it to us, and then I think that narrative will finally start changing.
Well, the only other thing I would throw in there is it's not only about graphics too. I mean, the graphics are
no. But that's what people. Yeah. But that's what people
want, though.
That's what people want, though.
I get it.
Because we've been talking. Trust me, on Brad, we've been talking about fidelity. Is the least thing we've been talking about. Give us performance and performance all day. We're actually pretty happy with the way that it is now. Now we just need Xbox to come out and just showcase what the system's all about, because that's what they haven't done in a generation and a half almost.
Well, I want to see some improvements in AI and physics, and that is exactly an area. Yeah, I mean, that is an area. So that is one thing when you start talking about like Starfield or even Arcane's game. And I don't know for a fact that they're going to have that stuff, but, you know, or that they're even going to be ready to demo that with Starfield if it's a year and a half away. But that is, you know, I know with like their engine and their revamp, you know, there's been a focus on things like physics. So,
right.
So there is other areas, and then that Cyclone game that keeps getting hinted at, that multiplayer is going to be trying to do some stuff that's innovative. So, you know, there's other ways to impress. I do get what you're saying. And B-Money, you're right. That's what people want. They want to see that thing that like melts your eyes or whatever at the beginning of a gen, especially. But you know, I'd also, I mean, I guess for myself, it's not. Yeah, for myself, it's not the only. So I mean, everybody is entitled to have their own priorities. But you know, people go, well, why are you over there? It's like, you know, that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing I look for. And when I even rank my top 10 games of last generation, you know, there maybe a couple would fit into that category of, you know, upper echelon graphics. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. There is other ways to impress. Yeah. I don't think that the graphical thing will be there, but you never know. Again, you know, like we've seen, these small teams are surprising. There is going to be probably some, you know, a lot of AA Game Pass things there, and you might be surprised that some of those actually, you know, look really good. So
shout out to the chat. Just wait says Craig at 120 frames per second is still Craig. And you know what?
That's funny.
Listen, bro. Listen,
That's pretty damn funny.
That's what I'm talking about.
Somebody just said Craig at 120 might look worse.
Might look worse. Look, that's what I'm talking about. See, those are the type of digs that I like because those are just all in Gil humor and stuff. That's funny. I really love that response. But he's absolutely right. That's the thing that I think a lot of people outside of the echelon of PC gamers that grew up trying to get better and better performance. Like PC was really like you instantly got better graphics because you were on PC because that's what the barometer on PC was. The graphical side of it was a given. It was all about trying to get better performance on your PC is what the holy grail was. How can I get the visual fidelity matched with the performance? On console, it's always been about the visual fidelity. So now gamers are being told that that's not what the barometer is anymore because now Phil Spencer's come out and says our system it's all about the way a game feels, the way the game holds in your hand, the way you control your character. That's what he said in multiple interviews coming through with the Xbox Series X and Series S coming out. And a lot of gamers aren't jiving with that because that's not something that they were being presented on a console front throughout every generation. Now it seems like the conversation is changing over to performance, and it's like, no, man, we still want the performance. We still want those graphical fidelity because that's what PlayStation's been giving us. And I 100% agree with them. It just comes down to PlayStation has done a great and amazing job of that. Xbox has kind of pivoted in a different direction. It doesn't mean that they're not going to both get to the same spot at some point. It's just that it's going to take Xbox some time to get there. But the difference is, at least we know that Xbox is focusing on it because they went out and spent the money they needed to spend in order to solidify their first party, at least in a meaningful way. It doesn't mean that they're going to be PlayStation overnight. It doesn't mean they'll ever be PlayStation. But I think people are just happy to know that that is something they're doing.
Yeah, that's a great point for it. I want to grab this super chat from JD Gamer. Says this gen, unlike last gen, Xbox will do well with 23 studios and 7-year cycle. We're not even a full year in. Time will tell, just like it did for PlayStation last gen. Remember last gen, 2013, 2016 sucked, but then Horizon Zero Dawn. So thank you for that $10 super chat, D. I appreciate it. But I will disagree with you here, JD. You forgot one of the best games of last gen, Bloodborne. Came out,
baby. You better put some respect on Bloodborne, JD.
Bloodborne name.
Yes, yeah.
Oh no.
Bloodborne came out in 2015. One of the best games last generation, hands down. Like one of the best. And
that goes to PC, people gonna go nuts.
Oh, yeah. that game! I want that game to go to PC because I want to play it at 120 FPS. And by the way, big shout out to Brian Barker, aka Delirium Blades, who says "Melt Your Eyes" is exclusive to PC. Yes, it is PCMR.
Wow,
you're really trying to get up to 10 dislikes, aren't you?
Yeah.
Every time you say that, my eyes go to that. It's just so funny.
I'm telling you, man, PC, it's, something to be said about it, man. It's, melt your face man. Graphics, melt your face.
Man, but people just gotta just realize, like even Ryan Landis, he says, for people always cared about good performance, and maybe you and the people on this panel, but why am I always every day it seems like I'm trading in an original Xbox from 2013 or a PS4 from 2013 or a Slim from 2015? I barely see Pros traded in anymore. I still see some X's getting traded in, but for the most part, most of these people out here are still playing on 2013 hardware. The majority of them are, for the most part. So it's like, think about it. People were saying that when they played God of War on a base PS4, it was like, yo, this looks phenomenal on a base PS4. It compared to it on a PS4 Pro, where you just got basically 45 frames per second versus 30. You didn't get the full 60 in the performance mode like they said you was probably going to get. So overall, most people, no, they don't. They just want to play something. They don't even care about the resolution, honestly. They just care about just playing the game. They don't care about performance. If they did care, most of them would be on PC, or they would have upgraded their systems multiple times throughout the generation like a lot of us do.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Forte. I mean, first of all, Forte, I got to say I'm shocked that people are trading his Xbox Series X's, by the way. I'm actually surprised.
Oh, no, not Series X's, just Xbox One X's.
Oh, what X? Okay, I thought you said Series X.
Oh, no, man. I seen once. I have not seen two PlayStation 5s at my store traded in, and I seen about 4 Series X's and 2 S's, and that's it since they've been out.
Only little Jimmy's grandma, because she got confused and brought in the wrong.
Probably.
Hey, let me. I just want to laugh here real quick. Somebody in the live chat says PC dead, no games, last gen tech.
That's why all your games belong to me.
Yeah, that might be the funniest comment I've seen all night, because last gen, like, really, like 3090, hello, 3080 Ti cards coming out.
Yeah, them 4000 series cards will be out in about 6 months, man.
Yeah, it's 40 series cards. I mean, ray I mean, DLS 2.0. I mean, what? I'm sorry, man. I love our chat. Chat provides me with entertainment while we podcast at times. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Here. Okay. I see.
Better.
Only 2% of PC gamers have SSDs currently, mid-top of range, NVMe drives, even the data stream is anywhere near capable. Okay. Yeah.
But I guarantee you the other at least 75% of those, or not, I would say at least 40% more of those have better spec consoles, PCs than some of these consoles.
Well, I'm not even a PC gamer, but you think that gamers that are willing to spend, hundreds on just a GPU aren't gonna upgrade their
right
storage as soon as there's a game that there's no point in spending a shit ton on an SSD if the games aren't using it yet. But yeah, you already know, as soon as there's games out there that are going to be requiring that, that percentage will go way up. If that number, I
just bought an NVMe for the first time.
Oh my god, this person
a month ago.
This guy's
that UE5 demo. Everybody can play it on PC right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this guy saying, Kraken architecture. It's like, I love how people try to minimize the fact that PC hardware is just better right now, right? It doesn't matter if 2% of PC players or PC owners have a 3090 or whatever the case is. The fact of the matter is that technology exists.
Yeah,
that's it.
And PC owners, you probably, I'm just guessing that's probably lumping everybody. That's probably including little Jimmy and her laptop, little Jimmy's grandma and her laptop
with their little Surface Pro.
Yeah, play solitaire or whatever. It's those numbers are a little bit fuzzy. Usually, generally what we've seen. What did we see? Cyberpunk sold, what was it? It was over 10 million in the first couple of weeks.
That was after all the refunds they made. Remember?
Right. Yeah, and off of a game that had pretty high PC requirements. So again, I'm not even a PC. I don't even know why I'm sitting there trying to defend Enrique's PC Master Race right now.
Because PC is the best platform, right? In your heart, not Forte, Obum, this to be true.
But when I see fuzzy math like that, I have to call it out. So it's like
fuzzy math like that.
It doesn't mean what you're presenting it to mean. So anyways,
they were just talking about your PC, Brap.
My PC.
They weren't talking about all PCs, just Braps.
My PC's fine. I got an NVMe. I got my 2070 still fine.
But
I'm good.
Brap, can it play Ratchet and Clank?
It will eventually. Not yet.
He said not yet, but it will.
In a couple months, man. I'm sure that Ratchet and Clank will be right there.
It will be. That's the funny thing.
Man.
It will be.
It will be.
Look, and guess what's going to happen?
That's facts.
What's going to happen when that happens? People are going to be like, the conversation is going to be like this, because right now it's like, oh, your SSDs aren't fast enough to play games like Ratchet and Clank, and guess what? In about 6 months to a year, all of a sudden our PCs are going to be fast enough to play Ratchet and Clank.
Look, here's the thing. I want to get the super chat from Stanley Buffington. The $5 super chat says PC had all that power, but Ratchet looks better than anything on it.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
You might want to leave that fight on console only.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I saw Cyberpunk run with on my PC with ray tracing, and it looked pretty damn good. Might be one of the best looking games I've seen. Yeah. So anyhow, but be like you said, that game will eventually come to PC, and I'll be able to play at 120 frames per second.
Sir Nick says, I have a 3080 to play solitaire and my sweeper at 800 frames per second. Talking.
Sir Nick, that's
the holy grail right there.
Sir Nick, that might be the quote. That might be the quote of the evening in the live chat. 3080 to play solitaire by 800 FPS in 4K. In 4K, sir. In 4K.
4K resolution. You might be able to get. I mean, you might want to play at 8K. It's only going to sacrifice like half that frame rate.
Yeah. Speaking of 30 series, I may just. They're so damn impossible to find. I just wanted to upgrade to a 3080, and I can't do that because you can't find them anywhere. Hell, I would even upgrade to a 3070. You can't find them anywhere. I think I'm just gonna wait for a 40 series at this point. And I don't think there's
by day one. But by day one, to stand in the line.
Yeah, I might have to call off that day when they come out, man, because I'm getting a 40 series when it drops.
Oh my God, Kate Upton exists, but not doing me any good if she's not in my bedroom.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
see, man, I think our chat finally starting to understand. Like, man, listen, we're gamers, man. We're gamers. Some of us like Xbox, some of us like PC and PlayStation, and but the one thing we all got in common is we're all gamers, man. Just we can take the punches like everybody else, but just remember that, man, when you come to BRAP, you come to just talk to gamers, man. That's the end of that discussion, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, look, I it's funny. I think people are so used, I think, to going to shows and like being like, oh yeah, this is an Xbox podcast. I know where these guys stand. They come in here and they're like, they don't know.
They're confused, man.
Yeah, they're confused. Who are these guys? Are they Xbots? Are they ponies? Are they on the PC? I can't tell.
You'll never know.
We're just gamers. That's all. That's all.
Now we might have other problems, like we buy 15 pairs of headphones and can't make our minds up there, and
that's Forte's buying 15 cents.
That's my Achilles heel right there. I have bought 4 pairs of headphones in less than 6 months.
Yeah. Somebody called. We're neutrals. That's exactly what we are. We're neutrals.
We're neutrals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that neutral.
Yeah. I hate the word neutral because nobody's really a neutral. Everybody has a preference.
Well, I have a preference too.
Yeah, I mean, like what the hell? It don't matter, man. It's just, it's just. I don't know, man. It's kind of a console. It's just like, do people give each other the same kind of shit over? Maybe I've just missed it, like over what cars they, like.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Okay, I don't.
Yeah, like Ford, Chevy trucks.
It's like
them Chevy boys.
Chevy or Ford?
They take it serious.
Yeah, Ford. Chevy Camaro.
I mean, outside of King, does anybody really give people shit on what TV they buy?
Yeah.
TCL gang, stand up.
Yeah, TCL.
Like, do you really care how? Do you ever like ask somebody when they watch, like they watch a show on like Netflix or HBO and they tell you at work, and then do you ask them, well, what TV did you watch that on? And I just don't. Whatever. It is what it is. But.
Yeah, somebody in live chat says pick up Truck Wars, Dwarf Console Wars.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, like someone said TCL for life. Look, first of all, I just want to say great show, gentlemen, as always. Big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Yeah, this did fly by.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, it was a great time. And want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe. next week will be Sony ponies, and the week after will be Xbox. You make sure you want to tune in to that. We're gonna flip flop every week. Keep you guys on your toes. Make you guess where they're coming from this week. I'm just joking. But yeah, please, if you're new to the show, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. We're also gonna have a Brap Rant this Saturday at 11 a.m. By the way, we're supposed to have a quick programming note as well. We're supposed to have Mike Biotti from GamesBeat on tonight, but he couldn't make it tonight, so we have him rescheduled for next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But also remember, again, this Saturday, Brap Rant with Fame Entertainment. Fame's going to be on from Level 1. We've had him on before, but look, it's been way too long. So looking to have him back on this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for a Brap Rant. Also want to give a big shout out to the middle-aged gaming guy who joined us. He was here for about an hour. Really appreciate Matt coming through. We're going to get him back on again. So big shout out to him as well. And want to give a big shout out to our fellow Brat panel members who couldn't make it tonight. Slow-Mo Backslap and Eric Jackson. They'll be back on next week as well. And also want to give a big thank you to Obim for joining us again, Obim. Always a pleasure, Obim, having you on. Please let everyone know when they can find you.
Well, thanks for having me on again. By the way, my tag is not Obum. It's a mispronunciation. But I've been letting that go all show. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that catching on. No, thanks for having me on again. It's always a great time to come on and talk about gaming, regardless of the platform. And if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at OneBadMother at mother_1. I do a lot of different things for Xbox Era. A lot of it's behind the scenes, although we do have a show. You had me at Halo. We will be having Miles from Windows Central on tomorrow to talk about our expectations for Halo at E3. So catch us there. Other than that, again, thank you for having me on once again.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Always a pleasure. And then we have B Money 101. B, man, let everyone know where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. Great show tonight, guys. Sorry that EJ and Slow-Mo weren't here because we definitely had a great time tonight. Appreciate OBM for coming through and Max too. And we'll see you guys next week. Yeah,
no, absolutely, man. Absolutely. This was a very fun show. Went by. It flew by. It just flew by. All right. So on that note, we're out. And we'll catch you next week. I'm just kidding. We got Gaming Forte.
I wasn't. Trust me. I would have logged out and never came back. I would have gave you a chance.
Forte would have gone. You've been a free agent.
Yeah, you saw Kid Smooth's tweet, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
he's trying to get me on playing the Xbox, man. Isn't that on the same day as Brap?
It is. Yeah, you were off.
That would have been an easy transition right there.
Yeah, you were off. You were off the grid. Yeah, not available on Wednesday nights. But now, Forte, all jokes aside, man, great show. Great having you on as well, man. Let everyone can find you.
Nah, man. Gaming Forte everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation. Shout out to the amazing panel we had today. One Bad Metal. You're always a gem on the show. And Mooch 2.0. Wish you could have been here longer. And my homeboy B Money, always a pleasure to be here with him and YouTube Rap. But yeah, shout out to JD Gamer. Asked what's the best headset for the Xbox that you could buy. Brian Baker pretty much said it. He said the X9s, the 9Xs are really, really good. If you have a PlayStation, the 7Xs will be the best ones because you can use that on both pair on your Xbox and your PlayStation 5, and it will work on PC too. So those would be the ones I would say outside of Astros and stuff like that. But if you got any other questions, hit me up on Twitter. I'll help you out as much as I can. DPS podcast will be tomorrow night on Slow-Mo / channel as long as his power comes back, which we will keep people updated on. I don't know. Maybe we might move it to my show and he could do Discord through his phone. We don't know how that's going to work yet, but I'll reach out to him and find out what's going to happen with the show tomorrow, or if we're even going to do the show tomorrow, because he may not be available. So stay tuned to the DPS Twitter account for information around that. Outside, you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys next time.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone, please check out DPS podcast tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Going to be a great show. They're going to be talking about the 20-minute gameplay footage of Horizon Forbidden West. So, yeah, Forte, that's awesome. You guys get to talk about that tomorrow. I look forward to getting your thoughts and Slow-Mo's thoughts on what Sony shows us. So, going to be a fire show, man. Definitely, everyone, please check them out tomorrow. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Slow-Mo Backslap's YouTube channel. Just type in Slow-Mo Backslap in YouTube, and you'll find them. Please subscribe as well. So on that night, everyone, we are out. Again, everyone in the live chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, we appreciate the support. And again, if you're new, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. But again, thank you, everyone. Big shout out to our guests this evening, middle-aged gaming guy and One Bad Mother. And we'll catch you guys this Saturday. Remember, this Saturday for Brap Rant, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time as well. On that note, we are out. Everyone, have a great rest of the week. We'll see you then. Peace.